The world that we knew is over. The world that we knew before 2020 was going to be over anyway. It just quickened. We are going to go through a demographic decline that we've never seen in recorded history. Since 1802, when we're told that the population broke 1 billion people, all we've known is growth. More people need more things, cause more action. What happens when there's less people? In the United States, for example, after World War II, the US population was 142 million people. Then the servicemen came back and the economy started humming and people felt comfortable having larger families. So families went from 2.2 per family unit to 3.6. There were in total 77 million baby boomers born between 1946 and 1964. And then there was a bust. Now, these baby boomers, they drove the culture and the economy. I can't tell you what the next technology is going to be. I could share with you what I know that people do at certain ages. And these are facts. When you're little, you need diapers, you need baby food. When you're going through school, you need education. When you graduate school, you go through establishing yourself by buying homes, fridges, and family formation. And then around 47, every major purchase that you ever make most likely has been made. And you spend the rest of your working life trying to save every extra penny to get every penny from every investment. Because as soon as you move into retirement, you move into the most conservative types of investments because you don't have time to recuperate if there happens to be a depression or a recession. Well, with the baby boomers, it was pretty interesting to look at. They shaped the American baby boomers, the world economy. It was the richest nation on the planet, and they were consumers. And then they became investors. And now they are going to become retirees. Did you know that there are 162 million family dwellings in the United States? And close to 60% are owned by baby boomers. There are over 30 million investment properties in the United States. And again, those are primarily owned by baby boomers. Most of the stock is owned by baby boomers. They've driven up the cost of homes because they were competing for them. They've driven up the cost of investing. And crazy investments came out because there was such a surplus of cash. Crypto is not going to be anything in the next few years. I know that there's some of you are going to think that I'm crazy for saying that, but it just has to cut. It just took off because interest rates were so low and people weren't earning anything and they would go into anything with their spare money. But people are going to go to security, especially when the bulk of the money are people who are never going to earn another cent after they retire. So I believe that we are going to see the greatest deflationary period in human history, especially in the West. Now, the United States isn't going to have it so bad, but Canada and Europe, you watch out. Your demographics suck. And let me share with you traditionally, since recorded history, we usually had many more younger people than older people. When Social Security was introduced, there were about 9 workers for every person who was eligible to collect. It's going to drop down to 1.5 people. It's not maintainable or sustainable. It's not. People are going to have to get very frugal in the way they live. On top of that, there's going to be less workers. Did you know in the United States there's a shortage of workers of 500,000 people? A shortage. In 2021, the population of the United States, which is 320 million people, only grew by 319,000 people. And we don't know what it's going to be this year. Real estate took off because there were so many people who needed to live in homes, and then there were so many people of a certain age who were trying to find investments. But guess what? When interest rates rise and there's very few people who are my generation, I happen to be what you would call Generation X, there was a baby bust. Just as there was this huge growth in the United States, there were 77 million babies born when a population went over 250 million people. My generation is only 54 million people. We are only two-thirds the size of the baby boomers. We're the ones who should be taking them out, meaning buying their investments, taking over their jobs, and buying their homes. Well, supply and demand. Just like there were so many baby boomers, there's so few Gen Xers. Yes, the United States did much better than the rest of the developed world because the baby boomers didn't forget that it's not just you pay your taxes to have a good society, you also have to create taxpayers. And they did. The millenniums are 81 million. They're actually bigger. The United States is the only country in the world that produced the millennium generation from 1980 to 2000. And there's more of them. And they're going to want to consume and they're going to buy things. But there's one issue that doesn't come about where they're going to be the big taxpayers and the big purchasers until 2034. So now we're focusing on a generation that's a third the size of the baby boomers to carry society. So we're going to see real estate prices drop dramatically. We're going to see stock prices drop dramatically. We're going to see interest rates shoot up because the competition for money is going to go crazy just because these baby boomers are going to be super, super conservative with their money. So we're going to see a huge deflationary time for big assets. So it's an opportunity. And lastly, we're going to see the cost of labor shoot up. We are, because there's so few workers. And the only thing not known is a history not studied. After the Black Plague, when there was nobody left, the cost of labor was crazy. And this is what we're entering. So hold on to the ride. It's not what you've ever been used to. I'm predicting, my opinion, real estate's going to drop like a rock. Interest rates are going to have to go up. There's going to be a drastic cut in social services. We are going to experiencing a world that we had never lived before. And I feel very fortunate that I'm in the United States because the United States will fare better than any other nation. I'm optimistic. And more importantly, the only way to succeed in life is to be a learner and to question. Question. Don't take my word on anything. You want to survive in this new century? We're going to be a society which is going to reward people who question and don't accept. Don't accept the president's message. Don't accept my message. Go out there and ask for yourself. And then you'll make decisions that are going to lead you to where you need to be to get the most out of it. Now, enjoy the ride. The world that we knew is over. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Have a great afternoon.